The Young Avengers are officially coming to the MCU. I've been telling you about this for ages, and then it's also become really obvious in the past year or so with all the Young Avengers characters who've been popping up in the MCU like daisies. But yes, it was confirmed by a nifty kind of end credit scene. It was originally going to be a full-on end credit scene, but then they tacked it on to the end of the actual movie of the Marvel, so it kind of just seemed like the ending. But Kamala Khan does her best Nick Fury impression in an homage to the original post-credit scene in Iron Man. Did any of you get that? I worry, maybe again, I'm talking about the post-credit scenes, and maybe they're just too deep cuts. I mean, that was back in 2008, and maybe some people today don't remember that that was the original post-credit scene. My press screening audience totally got it, and they loved this sequence, chuckling as Kamala did her own take on some of Fury's famous lines from that scene, approaching Kate Bishop, who was just coming home like Tony Stark was. But as BTT viewer Think Noodles pointed out on a recent live stream, if the Marvels is getting a ton of hate, what hope is there for the Young Avengers? Probably the most progressive team in all of comics. Dreamed up by LGBT writer Alan Heinberg, who went on to write the first Wonder Woman movie and take on the Sandman series, which I think was successful for Netflix, right? I think they renewed it, but there's been there's been the strikes, which might have held it up. But I think for the most part, it did pretty good, right? I love Alan Heinberg. I think his work is excellent. And the Young Avengers certainly have their fans. But so did the Marvel's characters. And we're seeing how that turned out. Not good. All right, but I got two words for you. GenV made it work. And that show was also looked awful. That's interesting. Why didn't the Marvels not work out, but GenV did? That's fascinating to me because both had like awful ad campaigns when it looked like it would be just torture to watch them. But people have rallied behind GenV, but a lot of people who see the Marvels agree with me that once you see it, it's actually like enjoyable. It's fun. But a lot of people just have like just a crusade against the Marvels movie. Perhaps because they're worried about the direction of the MCU overall, whereas nobody's worried about The Boys. That's doing just great. But then, of course, The Boys is earlier days and has a lot less on its plate. But the GenV show is it's very progressive. It's not like it ended up not being progressive. It's incredibly progressive. And The Boys' creative team, though, has made it work. TikTok loves GenV. Although also the bar for GenV is a lot lower than what the Marvels needs to do. GenV is like a small show on Prime Video, whereas the Marvels is like the latest MCU movie. So perhaps they're actually performing a bit on par. That's because the Marvels is supposed to open with about 47 to 50 million, which would be great for a lot of movies. It's just not good for the Marvels. GenV's viewership is okay. It's certainly very good for Prime Video, so that also helps it. But anyway, if Kevin Feige hires the right creative team, which is a very big if these days, Young Avengers could find an audience. Now, on that note, I heard Kevin Feige has not been sure if Young Avengers should be a movie or a Disney Plus show. And I'll tell you right now, the obvious answer is a Disney Plus show. Just look at the conversation we had about GenV versus the Marvels. GenV is a show, the Marvels is a movie. Which stars a number of characters from the Disney Plus shows, which might have also been a mistake. But I think Young Avengers is clearly a Disney Plus show. I don't think there's any question about it, so I'm not sure why Kevin Feige isn't sure. Maybe, though, put it on the Hulu tab that's coming to Disney Plus, right? And make it TV mature, which is doing wonders for Echo and also GenV. Although, who would a Young Avengers show be aimed at? Would Disney get in trouble for a show that features, teenage superheroes or teenage adjacent, up or down, and have it rated mature? Disney has a lot of problems that other companies do not. Now, I never saw Kamala as a compelling leader in the comics, but in the Marvels movie, I can definitely see it. I think she's actually a great choice. Her enthusiasm for superheroes, which, not only does she fangirl, but she can get serious about it too, because she studies them so closely, she knows a lot about superheroes, and also even the business of superheroing. So, and that's on full display in the Marvels. And so I think Iman Vellani's version of Ms. Marvel is a fantastic, perfect leader for the MCU's Young Avengers, even if she wasn't on the original team. And now, she was the leader of the Champions, Marvel's most recent version of the Young Avengers. So that's what's setting the precedent for her to lead the team. Some Young Avengers fans might be like, what the heck? She wasn't even on the original team. How is she leading the charge? But that's because it's the Champions. That's where Kevin Feige, sometimes gets in a little bit of trouble when he kind of, mixes and takes from different sections. And then sometimes it works. Sometimes people don't mind, but sometimes they do. In the comics, for instance, Kate Bishop has been the primary leader of the Young Avengers, which I guess is why she's who Kamala approaches first. I guess that's what they said to Haley Steinfeld. They were like, you are the Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark of this scenario. And she's like, okay, that's pretty good. But I think that Young Avengers fans potentially would be, it would feel more authentic if Kate Bishop was maybe the one who approached Kamala. But I don't know how I don't know if the dynamic there would work, but we'll see. We'll see if the Young Avengers works. But these are the kind of things that I hope they had very serious and deep discussions about, because it matters. Now, I didn't read Champions beyond a few issues because it wasn't a very good comic. But my favorite character on that team was Vision. Oh, I loved her. And word in the Scoop community is that if the White Vision show ever gets made, it will introduce that character, along with Vision's entire robot family from the comic book series that was incredible. But I don't know how Wanda fans are going to feel about him having a family with someone who isn't Wanda, because, the whole point of WandaVision was how that their love can survive even death. So maybe because White Vision is a variant, he's not into Wanda. Maybe that's how they get away with it. But I think that could be a serious wrinkle for that show. Although they might not even make that show anymore. There are some rumors that it's going to get cut. So Vision is a long ways off, if she ever comes at all. But as I said, a lot of Young Avengers are already here. Yes, Kevin Feige has been planting the seeds for this for a while, with not just some classic members from the comics, but some new members unique to the MCU. Let's discuss. So the one younger superhero that Kamala mentions is Ant-Man's daughter, but I think they might want to reconsider casting that role yet again, recasting it, because with all due respect to Catherine Newton and her fans, she didn't really click with fans in Quantumania. So I don't think people would be eager for that character to return if there wasn't a different spin on it. I mean, even then that might not work. And as I was going to say later in the video, but I'll just say it now, GenV basically has that character. And so good luck competing with that version, which has become quite popular. Also from the comics, we've got Hulk's son from space, Scar, although I hope he gets a redesign. But then also, what about Hulkling? If you're going to go with a hulking green superhero, so Hulkling actually has nothing to do with the Hulk. So maybe Kevin Feige's worried about confusing fans. But he is a crucial member of the original team. He is a royal in hiding because of his Kree-Skrull, because he's a Kree-Skrull hybrid. That's where he gets his green coloring from. And those two groups hate each other, as you know, even if you just are into the MCU. And Hulkling later goes on to unite them as one people as Emperor Hulkling. But the reason he's so vital to the Young Avengers is that he's Wiccan's boyfriend and eventual husband. And with Wiccan about to be introduced to the MCU, how can you not have Hulkling? I think fans would be like, it would not seem complete. Because after Kate Bishop, Wiccan is probably the most popular character to come out of Young Avengers. I would even argue the most popular. Extremely popular character. And let's hope the MCU doesn't botch his debut. There's already been intense debate online over his casting. I think Joe Locke from Heartstoppers is perfect, but some fans don't agree. I hope he convinces everybody, but I am very worried about that show. For other reasons with the creative choices they're making. Patriot was shown briefly in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But the actor who played him got into a very public family brawl at Disney World a year or so ago. So I don't know if that character or actor is going to come back. They could recast, but Patriot's Young Avengers tenure was relatively brief because it was discovered he was basically taking superhero steroids. And I don't really know if today's audiences will appreciate that storyline for the character. Instead, I think it would be better, and I think you should expect to see T'Challa's son on the team, as Marvel likely ages him up as quickly as possible. And let's not forget Thor's recent adopted daughter, Love, played by his real-life daughter. Now, I don't know if she'll continue in the role, but why even introduce this character if she's not headed for the Young Avengers? Maybe she can become the cosmic brawler that neither Gamora or Sif ever materialized as. Ah, sadness, especially Gamora. She kind of got there with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but Zoe Saldana doesn't want to come back anymore. She said she's done, so maybe it's this Love character. Other potential members, Wiccan's brother Speed, you gotta have both of them. Although Speed never really materialized that well in the comics. America Chavez, who joined the team in the comics later on when Kieran Gillen took over the title. And she's already in the MCU, kind of. I mean, did anyone really notice? And on that note, Kid Loki was on the Young Avengers as well. And I loved Kid Loki so much, but adult Loki is having such an incredible run in the MCU right now, I don't know if fans would be interested in a version of the character that wasn't played by Tom Hiddleston. And there's also Ironheart, who's already getting her own series, which has been delayed quite a bit for some reason. But it's coming eventually. But I would say, is she really at this point a Young Avenger? I mean, Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop barely makes the cut, barely qualifies. I would rather see Ironheart go on to Armor Wars, where we'll likely get AI hologram Tony Stark, and also continue her relationship with Wakanda as Shuri's protege. So, I mean, at some point, how are they the Young Avengers, right? Okay, so here are my thoughts on how they should handle the Young Avengers in the MCU. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what they should do down below. All right, so I think we have a core team, and then because they have it as a Disney Plus series with multiple episodes, hopefully more than 6, GenV was 8 episodes, I think that was a good number, you have guest stars, right? So that would allow you to have some of the other Young Avengers members that I don't really feel should be on the main team, and then also some adult heroes, which I think would be crucial, and other adult non-superhero cameos to balance things out, like maybe Agent Jimmy Woo as their government liaison. And I really love the idea of adult superheroes, because you could, Kevin Feige loves his meaningless guest stars these days, but you could maybe have just like Tech Knight guested on GenV, you could have like a lower tier Marvel character who would never get their own movie or TV show have a chance to show up and excite, hardcore fans. Although these days it seems Marvel's biggest problem is motivating the general audience. All right, but anyway, main team, Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop, Wiccan, Speed, you gotta have both brothers. I don't know where Speed is right now in the MCU, but he's gotta be somewhere. T'Challa Jr., which I think would bring a lot of attention to the show. Love, and let's get Hulkling in here. I would go with Hulkling over Scar. Cassie Lang, again, as I said, Quantumania fans did not care for they didn't care for her in Quantumania, and also GenV is already doing that version of their own version of that character so well. Miles Morales, interestingly, was also on the Champions team, so he could be a future option once Sony introduces him to live action. Although I think there is going to be a lot of drama and maybe like some toxicity around the Young Avengers, so I don't know if I want to put Miles Morales in here. And he's so popular right now, he doesn't need the team. Let him go off and have his own Spider-Man movies. But you know who they could put on here? With the Fantastic Four coming, Franklin Richards and Valeria Richards even could be interesting options. But as you can see, this is clearly not a movie-level team, but could really thrive on Disney Plus with the right care. So what do you think? Can this team thrive or even survive in the current MCU? And with how fans are right now? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.